Welcome, everybody, to the very first season premiere of the Nova Nation podcast. I'm your host, Rob Logan. I want to start off by apologizing for my co-host, Chris Merle. He actually got tied up and is involved with some overtime. He's got a big job that he has to do. So, unfortunately, his full-time job takes over the part-time job that we have here. But I am here. I'm going to run the Nova Nation podcast for you. I got a very special guest coming up. But before I do that, I just want to say how honored we are to now be a part of the Coach's Box, the family there with all the guys, and part of Off the Rails Media. We are now the show that will be leading into the Coach's Box at 9 o'clock. So we'll be at 8. They'll be at 9. So it should be a great handoff to some of the best pros in the game right now. But thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody. And I got to start the season premiere off with a very special guest. So not only do we talk about the men's side of the basketball at Villanova, we also talk about the women's side. And when you talk about the women's side of Villanova basketball and you talk about the history of Villanova basketball when it comes to the women, my guest is probably, her name stands out when it comes to being a part of that tradition. As far as I'm concerned, she really did start that tradition. Now moving forward to where the game is now and where the team is now. She is the greatest three-point shooter in Big East history. Multi-time Delaware State Player of the Year, and one of the best trainers and coaches out there right now. We'll get into that a little bit too with her. But I wanted to bring on Adrianna Hahn. How are you doing? Thank you for coming on. I know you just got done with the game, so I appreciate your time.
I did. Thanks, Rob. No, it's great. I'm always excited to get in and always anytime about Villanova, I'm here. We never leave.
How did the game go that you just finished?
It's good. We actually lost. It's more of my, intermediate beginner kids. So it's kind of what I do with the teams, essentially for the kids that need team experience, exposure, kind of more game situational experience. We kind of bring those kids together and I'll coach them and teach them, 5-out system, just all those basic fundamentals that you need in the game. That's what we do.
Now we'll talk a little bit about Hahn Hoops and what you got going on there, because obviously we've became in contact through Hahn Hoops with my son going and training with you. So we'll get into that a little bit, but I just want to go back to your start in Villanova in the program. Your start really did spark some of the upward trajectory of the Villanova women's team, as far as their wins, as far as their getting into the tournaments. You started really that trend of going upwards, and obviously last year, 30-7, they made it to the Sweet 16. Big accomplishments, but you were really there for the beginning of that. And how was it coming in? What was your mentality coming into really turning around the program at Villanova?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. My coach, Harry Peretta, as you know, he coached there for 40 years. So you're talking about big, extensive basketball history in a program that, unfortunately didn't have that much national recognition. And I just say that because, it's a strong local program. They recruited locally. A lot of those girls, yes, they'd win some Big East honors, but not a strong NCAA tournament program. You have to win Big East Conference to really get in. That's competitive in itself. And, now you almost see 3 to 4, 5 Big East teams going to the NCAA tournament. It wasn't like that back then. And it's not because UConn's now in our conference either. So, things were changing at the time when I first, entered college. You had Marquette, DePaul. Some of those girls even went to the WNBA. It's some experience and some history just never gets put out there. I learned from a great senior point guard, Caroline Coyer, who played on the USA national team, her own personal recognition, and just sometimes the people that are in it value it, and it gets stood out later and understood later when newer recruits come in, new coaching staff. Denise Dillon played at Villanova, coached at Drexel for 20 years. So, sometimes the adjustments are made and you don't see them, and then they're shown later. Our team also did really well. We went to the NCAA tournament my junior year, so we had success. But, again, for me, going to a program that was closer to home, a little smaller, and you could kind of stand out more a little bit. It's just all about that competing level, really.
They talk about a lot of times when they talk about the men's team, they talk about buying into the program and buying into the Villanova way of playing. Was that evident on the women's side as well, as far as how you were coached and how you were you mentioned, you were kind of brought in, you were kind of taught how to play point guard from a senior. Is that how it always has been? And is that what it was when you, as a senior, left and passed that tradition down?
I mean, I would say so, one, because I still speak on it every day to this day. When you talk about your experience in the past and you bring it and it currently, you're currently making statements and sharing it with the people around you to this day, I would say so, yes. And okay, so what is that? You're representing a prestigious university that will set you up successfully in the future as long as you put into it what it can provide for you. If you see the value, they're not just going to give you the value. You have to understand it. You have to want to wear it. You have to want to be it. And you have to want other people to later be a part of it in the future. So you have to set the tone in all aspects. On the men's side, thankfully I was able to share my experience with Jay Wright at the time. The boys had a lot of open doors. I learned from them. You didn't really feel separated in a sense. Everything under Villanova Nation is Nova Nation. So, and to this day, I still try to be a part of both programs, go back to games, from a trainer experience, try to even recruit kids to that level if it's capable, as best as I can. Giving back the knowledge that I shared from that program and who I expect to see there in the future, and for them to continue to grow it. I do know that they recruit more on a national scale now for the girls program. So, in terms of talent level and size, they're getting bigger, higher level national ranked recruits. And that's very important. Not saying that my coach didn't kind of do that, but again, technology is changing. AAU is changing. You have more resources, you have more funds to have coaches recruit and to have kids go to the university at a younger age. I mean, now, kids don't have to pay for visits. They don't, they could get paid to go visit the school. So it's completely different to when I was getting recruited and how people recruited back then.
This past year, 30-7, like I said, making it to the Sweet 16. Obviously, Maddie Seeger is a big part of that. Watching them play, how proud were you to watch that team, play, win like it did, make it to the Sweet 16? Just as a former player, how proud were you of that team?
It was very fun to watch. And, I'll admit, as a player, I wish I was out there. And, it doesn't mean that I wish I was able to play more games. It's just, wow, knowing the amount of work and team chemistry and discipline that it takes to get not just to the NCAA tournament, but within each round of that tournament. I mean, you got to prepare, and it doesn't just happen overnight. So, I know that the girls and the coaching staff put everything that they had into it, and those results proved themselves. Maddie was a freshman when I was a senior. Her intention was to play right away, but she had got injured her freshman year, and she decided to medically redshirt. And, in a sense, I kind of said, let's stick it out with the pain. Play your first year with me. Caroline Coyer, I had that same experience. My freshman year was with one player. You get 1 year and that's it. And then they're gone, and you kind of, so, I wanted to have an experience with her. It didn't happen. It was more in a practice environment, but I'll take it. And, I'm just even her connection with Shelley Pennyfather and that history, you know, Villanova connected it back to not even just me, but all the way back. And, you know, I think it means a lot. Obviously, the program remembers their history. They, you know, care for it and want to bring it back. And now Maddie has new history, you know, and that's going to be shared through the program. And, you know, just, you know, it's not just Villanova men's basketball on the map anymore. And that's a cool thing to say, because, you know, we could just get as high of recruits as they do. They get very high recruits. They get big guys, you know, social media, Instagram, USA guys that all have those connections and resources before they hit campus. So for the girls to have the same kind of trajectory and brand identity, I guess, after they hit campus, you know, you kind of understand where it all comes from. It makes sense. It also challenges, you know, the coaching staff to continue to have to keep it at a high level. You know, that's one thing about a major program now. You know, back when I was playing basketball, I said Villanova women's program was mid-major, and that was just because we did, again, the ranked number of recruits. You know, during my time, I think we had me and somebody else that was top 25 in our class. So mid-major due to that fact, mid-major due to how many times you go to the NCAA tournament, mid-major how many Big East Conference championships you win. We only have one under our belt as a program in history. So, you know, now you could kind of consider it a major program.
Moving forward, too, this year I believe they're ranked fourth to finish fourth in the Big East. I mean, the Big East definitely has a lot of firepower. Obviously, with UConn, you got Creighton, Marquette. I mean, there's a lot of good schools, like you had mentioned, that made the tournament last year, that Villanova is going to, you know, be right in that same breath. Obviously, this team this year, they're going to need some scoring because of the fact of obviously Maddie not being there anymore. Lucy Olson is a name that hopefully can step up. What are your thoughts? Do you think, you know, does she have to take the next step, the next level? Do girls like Christiana Dulce, does she have to step up? You know, who's going to be that next kind of leader to carry the program?
And you know, those players definitely made their way. You know, because then again, you know, distribution is a big key in basketball, not even just distributing the ball into the basket, but distributing the right pass at the right time, the right play. You know, Christina, I think, just really developed her skills a lot better in terms of how she can add to the game of basketball, right? It's not just based on points. How many offensive rebounds, how many defensive rebounds do you limit the other post players to, you know, worse numbers than their average? Lucy Olson, she is a big key for them. I actually enjoy watching her play because she's very composed and poised as a point guard. You don't find that much. And she's very long, and she can get low to the ground, something you also don't find as much. You know, foot speed, she's quick, but she's not the fastest out there, but she will get to the ball first. And that's something that you have to consider. You know, how does that happen? You know, I would say Villanova doesn't recruit the most athletic girls. You know, and there's reasons for that. Lucy Olson has to be more of a threat from a 3-point line, I would say, if she wants to continue to have the numbers that she does, because players are going to key on her. They're going to try to get her in foul trouble early, especially her being the point guard and now saying, okay, well, you have to give us more buckets this year. So now there's a lot of pressure. You know, I think time and score is going to be a big key thing for Villanova to factor in this year, because, you know, they won a lot of games by large last year. You know, you had one player knowing what you were going to get every game. And, you know, those games aren't going to be like that in the fourth quarter. So they're going to have to key in more on time and score and situational factors.
You're describing Lucy, and it kind of, you said about making the pass, doing what needs to be done, and also now scoring. That kind of sounds like a little bit like somebody else that was probably put in that position as well. With you, you know, your sophomore year, your junior year, you had to take more on, obviously, as a scorer, as a passer. I mean, you know how important that is. You know, that mentality, that's very tough on a person. I mean, to take that that next step every single year and have more pressure. What is the pressure like to have that kind of put into your lap?
A lot of people think it's that obvious pressure of, yeah, you got to score 20 points, 15 to 20 points a game. Yeah, you got to help us win more games. We got to be just as consistent as last year. I know, I think that's more the external pressure that a lot of people obviously see. But what really is tough is that internal pressure. And what is that? That is knowing how to be selfish in the right moments, knowing what's a better shot for Lucy versus a shot that her teammate could have taken, but it's not the better one. And what does that come down to? That comes down to shooting percentage, skill factors, confidence level factors. And, you're dealing with teammates that you share moments with every day in the gym where you have to say no to them and you don't really have time to explain why. And that's where the coaches have to step in. And, so that's, I would say, is more of that internal pressure. She's entering her junior, senior year. It's her last 2 years. That, I would say, that's pressure. How are you going to end? What are you going to leave with? All that kind of stuff. How are your teammates going to treat you? How is the Big East Conference going to treat you? Are they going to double you on ball screens every single time? Are they going to say, hey, force her left when she hasn't? But, what are those strategies? She's going to be facing new IQ, defensive mechanics and offensive mechanics that she's going to have to understand and be comfortable with, and once you get into season, you're playing Friday, Sunday, new team, new game film, new player personnel. You have to be, just kind of on top of everything.
They're actually playing tonight. I think they're up at halftime, like 33 to something.
Jefferson.
But Adrianna, the coolest thing when we talk, and even when we talk, because like I said, my son does go down to see you and train with you, and we have conversations. And the way you talk, I mean, you're a player, but you have the mentality of a coach. And was that always your style? Was that always how you would be? Because just even now, the way that you talk, you're talking, you were a player, but right, you still have that mentality of a coach. Like, how was that always like that, or is it just?
I would say as a player, it was like that with the basketball and kind of, again, making those decisions that not everybody will agree with, right? When I would shoot really far back and shoot threes, a lot of people be like, oh, that's a bad shot. You probably shouldn't take that shot. Well, guess what? It's going in. And I know you probably didn't think it was going to go in. Yours doesn't go in. But, I practice more. I take this more seriously, more legitimately. So you're talking from the basics of a player and how I kind of demonstrated with the basketball who I wanted to be and what I wanted people to know and how to act around me. And then also, too, right when I was finished being a player, I went right to training and coaching here in Delaware. I didn't have a beautiful gym yet, outside at people's houses, moving around in my car, ball bag. So I went right to kind of, okay, well, everything that I learned as a player, now I'm still have access to basketball just as much, but it's a different role. I'm never going to play a game again. So why am I doing this? Right. So, I would say those things. And then talking like a coach, I mean, I was blessed to be coached by professional people. And when I say professional, they didn't let me slide. And that's because they didn't let themselves slide. So that's really all it is. If, everybody's human, you're going to slip up, but it's how you react and what you do from here on out. It's all about your intentions. The people around me intended for me to be better, intended for me to find the best version of myself. So that's why I'm very adamant about how I speak sometimes when it comes to this basketball game, because you can get in funks and phases and lose the value, and you can have distractions and the wrong people telling you things, and you kind of got to stay on your own level, stay level-headed.
You came to one of our practices, and this will kind of segue into Hahn Hoops and what you have going on down in Delaware. But you ventured up to New Jersey one Monday night, and you sat in a practice with my AAU team that I put together, and they were at the time a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds boys, and a lot of them all have like that cockiness. A lot of them all like to talk. When you came out onto that court and you started, demonstrating and talking to them, there was not a sound made on that court. Like, they were all intently like watching you, listening to you. And I mentioned that to you before, even with my son. My son can kind of be a little bit all over the place at times. But anytime he steps on the court and you're there talking to him, or you're there, I don't know, you have this presence as a trainer coach, that these guys listen to you. And your program is great down there, what you have going on. Hahn Hoops down in, you're out of Wilmington, you're down at the Chase Fieldhouse. How is that all going on? How are your teams going? And, now you have that mentality of trainer coach. Where are you going with that?
I just, one thing I love now is that I know seasonally everything that's going to happen. When you first run a business, you kind of got to figure out, all right, we're in spring, we're in winter, we're in summer, and also making sure everything runs right and the kids are getting results. I'm very adamant about what I put onto the court and how they're doing things. So once they come in, we're serious, and then I can talk about all the business stuff after that. But everything's going good. Going back to some of my previous answers, the best way to kind of bring the best intention for somebody is to call them out for their weaknesses and not let them slide with it. Especially, you learn from your elders. Okay, I am an elder to these students, so no matter the age or situation, they're still going to look up to me as such. So, I think too, me and my biggest weakness was not accepting my own weaknesses. So the first thing I can do to a kid is help them to understand that the best way to get better is to see what you need to work on and to know what you need to work on. And it's not just, okay, my left hand, people like to want to be a magnet to you. So if you're that disease in that gym and people around you aren't getting better, well, guess what? You're not going to have the fans and support either. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have the glory either. It doesn't work. You don't have your cake and eat it too. Yes, you can get 20, 30 points a game, be the MVP star player, but you standing alone in that area is not the most successful. It's not. It's about having a good balance, having a good support system, having people around you get better as well. And so we really teach our kids down here, like, to be your best self is to make sure that the people around you are getting better. Your humility, how you kind of handle that. And then again, like, what are your personal basketball goals? Okay, we have to know them. We have to write them down. Not everybody's going to have a Villanova basketball goal, but we still need to write our own goals down and be goal oriented. Okay, well, let's be about our goals. And I think that when other people understand the other different goals around them, it's a diverse environment where you're accepting of somebody who doesn't have what you have and never will. And because of that, it doesn't limit them. It doesn't limit the amount of respect or care you have for them. It doesn't mean you go softer on them, because no, make them better, push them in all aspects, mentally and physically.
I've had an opportunity to watch you play. My son was a ball boy for a time period of when you were there playing. So I got to watch you. And now I got to watch you develop into, a trainer, coach, and what you have at Hahn Hoops. And I mean, being somebody who, I coached rec, and I've kind of been around a lot of kids and players. What you have going on down there is incredible. I can't say enough about what you've done. And at your age, what you have, it's incredible. And, I wish nothing but the best as far as where you're going to go, where the Hahn Hoops will take you. It's amazing to watch. And I'm just happy to be a little bit of a part of it when we go down there every once in a while and train with you. And, it's great. And I appreciate it. And I'm sure all the parents that have kids in your program appreciate it so much. And that's great. And that's awesome. And I'm very happy for what you have going on down there.
Thank you. No, it's I'm just as appreciated to hear that type of feedback, because I really wouldn't be doing it if not the feedback for me, but I like to see people get happy. I like to see the kids. It sucks, but when they're really low about themselves, and that's all just from not being able to dribble a little bit better, or slide on defense to somebody who is a little good, and that changes their confidence in the classroom. That they start shooting a basketball better, that changes their confidence in terms of their friend group, and even just with their parents and who they want to be. And now they talk more, they present themselves better, they have a stronger light, and that's what really it is. So as long as that light keeps shining bright, I'll always be kind of around. Obviously I want to try to keep getting higher basketball accolades for myself. I'm trying to get a job in the NBA G League. I'll be coaching a girls varsity high school team called Tower Hill here in Wilmington, Delaware. So I'm always elevating myself and elevating the business. And that's what I want the kids to know too, is I'm still trying to make it to the NBA too. And it's not just the NBA, but it's the idea of I want more and better for myself just as much as you do. And so that doesn't change for anybody, no matter where you are.
Adrianna, thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate you spending some time with me talking. Like I said, you have so much that you're able to talk about the game because you have been there, you've done it. Like I said, all-time Big East three-point shooter. You've done it all. Your accolades are off the charts. So thank you so much for spending the time with me. Appreciate it. We're going to get down there at some point. My son, Lucas, is playing on 2 teams right now, full time, and we think he might have broke his finger yesterday. So we don't know what's going on with that. We got an orthopedic appointment tomorrow, so hopefully it's not too bad, because he's got high school basketball tryouts coming up. So
look, as long as he can work on the legs and defensive stance, and he'll be straight. Broken fingers, by the time he's in college, he'll have about 5 of those. But
yeah, we keep telling him.
The door's always open down in Delaware, so just let me know. And I appreciate you thinking of me and having me on after all these years. I haven't played a game in 5 years, and I still consider the fact that people want to talk to me about this game, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Adrianna, thank you. I'll see you. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Yep, thanks.
All right, that was Adrianna Hahn. Like I said, an incredible trainer, coach down there in Delaware. She's done it all. She's got a incredibly bright future. She does keep setting goals, and I've seen what she's done firsthand with different players, with my players, with my son. It's amazing. Let's now shift, because we got to talk a little bit about the men's team. We got to introduce. We have a lot of new faces on this men's team this year. Last year, a little bit of a disappointment, 17-17 record. First round knockout in the NIT. I wouldn't put much stock in that, because some of the better players weren't playing, and more were still coming back from an injury. So I wouldn't worry about too much about last year. But let's now look forward to this year. We have 4 big transfers in the portal that are now here at Villanova. Definitely will change the team big time from one year to the next. This is what this portal does now. This portal can really, if it's utilized correctly, can really change teams overnight. And this team has definitely changed a little bit. We had obviously Cam Whitmore leaving and going into the NBA. But now you got these 4 transfers. TJ Bamba, a senior guard. You got Hakeem Hart, another grad guard. He's a big guard. He's a 6'8" guard. Lance Ware, a senior 6'9" forward. And Tyler Burton, another grad, 6'7" forward. A lot of experience coming over into Villanova. You mix that with the returnees of Eric Dixon, of Justin Moore, of Mark Armstrong. You got Arch coming back, Chris Archidiakono. You got Jordan Longino coming back. You got Nojuko coming back. So you got a lot of good mixture coming back with the transfer, with what's coming back. This team is definitely going to be better than last year. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm not going to go into predictions as far as where we're going to end. I'm going to wait until Chris is on the show before we go into all these different predictions. But I'm going to tell you, this team will definitely be better than last year. I'm going to tell you that. They actually are starting ranked in the top 25 in the AP poll. I think they're at 22. That seems to be about right, even though in the Big East, they're ranked 4th. So the Big East is going to be very tough this year. You got teams like Marquette. You got teams like Creighton. You got UConn. UConn's actually 3rd in the Big East poll. So you have the defending national champions only ranked 3rd. And you got a lot of people coming back for that. But this is going to be a very, very tough season. The men's team opens at home on November 6th against American. That obviously should be a win. And then you got another game on the 10th against Lemoya College, if I'm saying that right. I might not be saying that right, but that's obviously a win there too. And then 3rd game of the season is going to be a fun game, November 13th versus the University of Pennsylvania, Big 5 game at the Palestra. This game is going to be off the chart. This is really going to really see how good or where this team could be going. That 3rd game of the year is definitely going to be where we're going to have to watch to see. As far as for me, I'm a big Mark Armstrong fan. He's my player to watch this year. The biggest question for me for him is, will he now take that next step up into the true Villanova guards stardom? And when I mean, Villanova guards, I'm talking about Ryan Arcidiacono. I'm talking about Jalen Brunson. I'm talking about Colin Gillespie. Guys like that laid the foundation for point guard play in Villanova, just like Adrianna kind of laid that foundation for point guard play when she played on the women's side. Guys like Arch and Jalen, these guys showed the way to play. And hopefully Armstrong will now move into that next spot and be the next big point guard, because I think he has phenomenal talent. He kind of started out playing a little bit last year and then not, and then he started at the end of the year playing even more. He is going to be a great player. The way that this team is put together, that's what they need. They need guard play. And I think if he comes along the way he is expected to, you got Eric Dixon coming back, a big guy, can put up points, great in the box. You pair those two together, you got something going on. Eric Dixon, averaged over close to 16 points a game last year. Definitely going to be a factor this year. And then I didn't really forget, but you got to add Justin Moore coming back. And, we really didn't have him at all last year, just a couple games towards the end. You could tell he wasn't back to full strength. He's going to be back completely good as new. And he's going to be a big factor too, because Moore plays like a lot of these older point guards that played the game at Villanova. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I am so excited for this upcoming season, and I cannot wait for these games to start. I'm going to tell you, I'm excited, so excited for everything right now. This really is one of the best times of the year. When you really think about it, you got football, you got World Series baseball, you got NBA basketball starting. Now you got college football going, and now you're adding college basketball to that. I mean, how much time can you spend sitting watching games? It's going to be amazing for the next couple weeks. It's just a fun time to watch sports. And I am so excited for this year's Villanova team. I think we're going to be off the charts, better than we were last year. Kyle Neptune is going to show that he has more to work with this year, and his coaching imprint will now be seen. It was kind of hard to see last year, but this year I really think he puts a stamp on this program and really, really takes it to the next level. I've been a fan of Villanova. Just some of my history. I mean, I've watched Villanova since I was very, very young. I remember going at a very young age to the Finneran Pavilion, watching games there with my cousins, and it was just the best time watching Villanova. And they really, under Jay Wright, obviously started to take off and become one of the power teams in the country. And now they have such a great program. Their players are just awesome. Adrianna is a great example of that. Just great players, great people, very easy to talk to. They all are just down to earth, and it's great. It's a great program. These players buy into it, and Kyle Neptune is definitely keeping that keeping that tradition going. And this is going to be the season, and we're ranked 22 in the nation, but this should be a year that we are definitely March Madness bound, if you want to just say that. I mean, I know obviously it's very, very early to comment about that, and I'm going to hold off a lot of the overall predictions of where things go until my partner Chris is back. So we're just going to, kind of talk a little bit about the team itself. But if you guys have any questions or thoughts or anything you might want answered from anybody, I will do my best to reach out to some of my connections with Villanova to get some answers for you. If you have some questions, you can leave them at my Twitter handle down there at Logan Sports CO. You can ask and make comments on my Facebook page or whatever you want to get in touch with me. I am here. I am, Villanova bound, and this is going to be a fun season. It's going to be a fun year to be on the coach's box with all the guys. I was a guest not too long on that show. I had such a great time with Chris, Jason, Kevin, Zach, Jim, all them guys. They're all awesome. They're coming up at 9. So I'm going to be winding down soon and handing the ball off to them. But in the future, we will be obviously not only just talking 100% about Villanova, but we will be talking about other college basketball games. We will be talking about I don't like to use the word excessive, but I like to play some bets on some college games. So we might talk about that. And I know Chris is the same way with me. So we might talk about some bets here and there on the program going forward. But we will have a good time. We will keep it Villanova for all your fans out there. But for anybody who is just a fan of college basketball, this is going to be the show that you're going to watch, because we will talk nonstop college basketball, women's, men's, you name it. We are in for it. And I appreciate everybody who spends the time watching. Please, if you haven't, go on, subscribe to the Coach's Box YouTube channel. Hit the notifications button so you can know when your favorite shows are going to be live. We will probably be live most Wednesday nights. We're going to try to get into a rhythm with that. Hopefully my co-host doesn't have as many emergencies moving forward, so he can give his opinion of a lot of things when it comes to college basketball. But we are definitely happy to be here. Also, probably a lot of you know me from the Let's Talk Sports Network. So if you are unfamiliar with them, go over to their channel and subscribe there, hit the notifications. They got a lot of great shows going on. I still do some shows over there for them, so go check them out as well. And hey, there's a lot of content to watch on this network and other networks. So please, if you haven't done it, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button, and please, check us out. Thank you again for watching. I hope this was a good show with you guys, and I will be back with my co-host next week, same time, leading into the coach's box. So if you're viewing me right now on the YouTube channel, just stay on the channel and get ready for the coach's box with the guys. So thank you again. Appreciate it. And I will be back next week. Talk to you guys later.